Aloha, everyone. Welcome to my talk. Are your images working for you or against you? So, images can do a lot of damage when it comes to the performance of your website. So, by optimizing from the start, you can feel confident that they are not the reason for a major slowdown. So, let your images be the least of your worries. So, I will be talking about images and sanity in one. And if you're not familiar with sanity, I will get into that. But before I move on much further, let me introduce myself. So, aloha, everyone. My name is Kapehe. You can call me Cap for short. Some things that I love: community, creating. I love anime. Sword art online is my favorite one at the moment. I love my five animals and I love working out. So, my journey, a short story. So, I used to be a flight attendant for a major airline, and it was amazing. I had so much fun, but I knew it was not my forever thing. So, I actually found coding. I went to a coding boot camp, and every single day I was at that boot camp, I thought, what have I done? This is impossible. I graduated, and I got my first job as a junior software engineer at a local startup in Las Vegas. That's where I live. And then I got a job working at Auth0 as an R&D content engineer, and I wrote technical content there. And now I work at Sanity, and I do developer relations, and I love it. So it's been a great journey. It's been a tough journey, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, what is Sanity? So, Sanity is a content platform. So, you can use it to integrate content into your websites and applications. So, think headless CMS and beyond. It's the perfect playground for developers and content editors. So there's code. You can customize your Sanity Studio, and you can have specific schemas, specific plugins. The sky's the limit, kind of, with that. But the studio is constantly evolving. New plugins are constantly being created by the community and by Sanity, and um, the needs of developers are being heard, and it's evolving. Then there's the fun UI. So the Sanity Studio is kind of what I've mentioned a little bit. What it is, it's the UI side of your content. So it's where all of the organization happens for the content in your website. It can be deployed, so you can send that URL out to your team, and everyone can work together on the content, updates, or additions. Then taking it to the next level, so the beyond, um, there's review changes within the studio. So if someone edits content, the whole team can see, they can see what was changed and by who. And let's say you have like an e-commerce website and you change the pricing on something. Maybe that price isn't supposed to be changed. And somebody on the team saw and they're like, oh, no, no, not yet. And so they go back and they can revert that change very easily, that one specific thing or the entire document. So kind of awesome. But yeah, so the Sanity Studio seems endless in its possibilities, but let me show you a really cool part of that, and that is where the images are handled. So if you're familiar with Sanity, then you may be familiar with how Sanity handles images. If not, then you are in for a treat. I'll be demoing it in a little bit, but let's talk about some common problems that developers face when it comes to images. So I gathered some developers and I asked them, what are the pains that come when it comes to code and images? And some of these can apply, all of these can apply to you, but let's just go over these. So the size of the image might need to be minimized to help with performance. But what if I need that image to work on a big screen? What if I need it to be on mobile? Now I've got to make sure that it's not too pixelated on big screens. Now I got to write all this CSS to make sure it's just right. Common problem. The aspect ratio might be slightly off. Maybe things start shifting around, not how you had planned it. Or the image might be doing just fine, but it's focused on the lower right-hand side of the image, and you really wanted the stuff at the top of the image to always be in view. So you have a lot of images, then you might have a lot of images, and it might be slowing down your website. Or maybe you didn't optimize from the start, and now you have to go back and optimize all of your photos. So the metadata also is another challenge, and it could be very minimal. You might not have all the metadata that you have wanted or that you could really use and you need. And also the last point, if a content editor wanted an image edited, added, or removed, it's up to you as the developer to go in and fix it. And wouldn't you love a system where you can send it to the content editor and they can do all that image handling themselves? That'd be great. So let me show you taking it back to grade school, I'm going to show you the answers. I'm going to show you the key to the test. So size. So one upload of the image and Sanity will take care of all the browsers. So Sanity can help with that. You can write a lot of CSS that will help you with mobile responsiveness, or you could upload many different sizes of the image itself, but that all comes packaged in the Sanity Studio. So you upload once, we take care of the rest. You need it smaller for mobile, amazing. It still comes from that same one upload that you did in the studio initially. Next, refer to the answer above. Sanity Studio takes care of aspect ratio. Hotspot. There is a built-in hotspot feature in the studio where you tell what point of the image you want always displayed, and the Sanity Studio will always protect that spot, and I'll show you in a minute. It'll make sure that it's always front and center, and no need to write fancy CSS to move the image within a div. It's all taken care of. And then performance. So because of everything that's going on, our performance isn't having to be slowed down. We only had to upload one image, and that's it. And then on the idea of metadata, so you actually get a good amount of metadata when it comes to images in the studio. And I will show you all of that. It's pretty fun. So because of the studio's ease of team use for developer and content editors, it gives the content editors the freedom and power to add images themselves. So no Slack messages need to be sent out asking for work to be done in an image. They can go to the studio and make the necessary adjustments immediately. Oh, and I didn't hit click, but there you go. Yeah, did I mention the studio? So hotspot and images demo. So we have a lot of talking going on right now, but why not just demo the thing for you? So we'll be working in a local version of one of my studios. It is from my portfolio, Kapehe.io. So once you build up a project, you'll have this hotspot capability. And let me show you what it looks like. So here's my local version of my portfolio that I have running. And I also have my local version of my studio. So all the content that lives here is being organized and managed in my studio. So let me show you responsiveness. I have blog posts, and I'm going to work with this Las Vegas live-in one because I live in Las Vegas, and I just wrote up this quick little thing. But I have images within, and I have my main image. And the way I queried for this, I used Grok, which is a query language that is made in-house. I won't get into that, but I will show you how to kind of play around with Grok. So I'm going to work with this main image right here. So I'm going to go back into my studio. I'm going to find that within my posts, find the one that I need. I'm going to collapse these. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. So I have my content, and I'll show you the code for how this looks, but title, slug, author, and that's referencing an author type. But this main image, okay, so if I click on edit, I actually need to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. So in here is the hotspot and crop feature. So you can come in here, and with one image upload, I can crop down to whatever I need, and notice those thumbnails down at the bottom show immediately what it would look like for a panoramic or a square. So I'm going to keep it full. I'm going to keep the full image, but this hotspot is always going to be in view. No matter what, wherever this is, it will make sure that if it's on your page, if it's being queried for and used on your website, this will always be shown. So if I really want to make it very exact, and I want that little flower bud to always be in view, and I look down here, and sure enough, it's always there. Let's say there was something interesting in the upper right-hand corner. I could do that. I could move this over here and notice how that will always be in view. So that is the hotspot, and this can work in images within your content. So I'm gonna open this up, and here's a picture of Red Rock Conservation Park, one of my favorite spots in Vegas. I'm gonna click on edit again, and same thing, I can move this around. Aspect ratio changes, and the hotspot changes, and I only needed to upload one version of this photo. I can exit out of that, bring it back down. So there's the hotspot and crop feature. Now, the metadata. I got very excited about it earlier, so let me show you how awesome it is. So if I wanted to find out all the metadata on this main image, I am in my document that I need. I'm going to click on these little dots up here in the upper right-hand corner, and then I'm going to hit inspect. Now here is all my data for this blog post. So it's not just image stuff here. It's going to be the body, and I don't need any of that. Main image, slug, all the data you need is right here. Now what I'm looking for is this ID reference for the image, for the main image. And I want to get all the metadata for it. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come up here in this hamburger menu on the upper left-hand side, and I'm going to click on Vision. Now Vision, and I still have that up. Let me delete that. So Vision is your internal studio's playground. So you can do Grok, you can do GraphQL, but however you're going to query for your data, you can put the query over here, hit Run Query, and it will show the results. So I'm using Grok here, and I'm going to look up all, so that's what the asterisk is, all IDs that are equal to, and I grabbed that image ID from the data. I'm going to paste that in. So if the ID is that, run the query, and it should bring all my metadata. So I'm going to collapse that a little bit, but here is all the data that you get back just naturally. This is already all here. So created at, extension type, metadata down here is the awesome part. So we have the dimensions, aspect ratio, the height and the width of the image. We also have LQIP, low quality image placeholder. So while your website's loading, if you don't want just a blank screen to be there for your user, this low quality image placeholder is able to go into your website and kind of hang out until it can load and performance automatically looks better. And then we have the palette. So the palette, it grabs all the colors from your image and it puts it in dark muted, dark vibrant, light muted, light vibrant. But let's see dark muted. So background color. And if you wanted to overlay text, here is a good foreground color. So it's really awesome for accessibility. So there's not that like, oh, the colors are too similar. It's giving you the best foreground color for that. Let's do light vibrant. Here's the color, and then here would be the foreground color. So you have your entire palette for your image at the tip of your fingers. And you can play around with that. And if you need to overlay text, you have that foreground color. So that's really awesome. And then you have all your other data. Now, if you wanted to, you can even take this a little bit further, and you can add geolocation to your data. It doesn't automatically come because for security reasons, but it's very important to maybe sometimes have that for your team and have that option. So what it does is it will show where the image was taken, where the if flash was used, that kind of stuff. So geolocation can be added to that. And let me show you what the code would look like. So within the code of my portfolio that we're looking at, here's the schema for my post. I have the title, slug, so we saw all this in the studio. I can update and edit this schema as I need. But the main image one, if you look closely, and I will zoom in, it has options, hotspot is true. And this is where you would just add on options. So that hotspot true is that little hotspot thing that we were playing with. This is where you would add on options for your image, whatever you need for your team and your studio. And that's what it looks like. So going back, so just a quick recap. We have our Sanity Studio view where the developers and content editors could all work in and add, edit, or even adjust the hotspot at any given time. And by adding options, the hotspot, we have made that available as well. But also you could add the geolocation that I was talking about earlier. Now, what is to come? Let me get this playing. So we have some amazing features in the pipeline, still in beta, but let me talk to you about one of those. So our digital asset management system. So all of your images, videos, sound clips, etc., any asset that lives in your studio can be found in one place. And we're looking at it right now in this video. So find exactly what you need by referencing an image, and you can see all the metadata here as well. So this is a plugin, and you will need to add it to your studio, and it's still in beta, like I said, but keep an eye out. And yeah, this will be a really cool feature to add. You can see what's referencing what, but it's really nice to have all of your assets in one spot, easily searchable. So if we have our plugins that we want to add, there are community created plugins. There are Sanity created plugins. But if you go to sanity.io/plugins, you'll find many plugins that you can add to your studio. But image and asset specific ones, here are 3 really awesome ones. So the Gatsby plugin, Sanity Image, it handles images in Gatsby. These next 2 are really awesome, but it pulls from Unsplash or from Cloudinary. So you can pull straight from Unsplash and get an image, or straight from Cloudinary and get an image. So that makes it really awesome. Just add this plugin to your studio and you would have that up and running. Now, some resources for you moving forward. So the sanity.io docs, we have asset pipeline. That is all of our information about assets within Sanity. Now, if you go to CSS Tricks and look up 5 interesting ways to use sanity.io for image art direction, there's a really good article by Canute, and he goes over all of the stuff that I talked about and shows a live example of the geolocation. So another awesome resource. And the Sanity developer community that you can find at sanity.io/community. There you can create a profile. You can upload, maybe you decide to create a plugin, or you can upload projects, upload guides that you've written, but it's just a community area for sharing content, and I'm all about that. So mahalo everyone for coming to my talk. You can find me on Twitter at Kapehe_OK. You can also find all my social links at on my portfolio, kapehe.io. And there you can see the blog posts that we were messing around with. But know that behind the scenes of my portfolio, there is a Sanity Studio that is making all my content and my images easy to manage. So again, mahalo everyone. I'll see you around.